It's not in the face! Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Hey, Not the Face with your host, John Nash, and your producer, me, Steffi Haynes. And guess what? There's so much news out there. We've got another hodgepodge of news collecting here. So that's what we're going to talk about. But first, let's kick it over to John and see how he's been over the last few days.
Oh, sweating profusely.
Why? What's going on?
It's warm. It's getting warmer. The weekend's supposed to be insanely hot, and my air conditioning broke. So I have a temporary mobile unit in the living room, not in this room because it's, got to keep it kind of quiet while I record, but it's sweltering in here already. But I do have, someone was nice enough to send me a LaCroix sparkling water.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm drinking
really?
one of those. Yes.
How about that? That's awesome. That person deserves a gold star.
Yeah, I can afford a gold star.
All right.
Not an actual gold. I mean, just like the little stickers.
Listen, I'll take the leaf, the gold paint that chips off, whatever. It's fine. But you know what? Let's talk about some stuff that we saw on Twitter from Trent Reinsmith, because he retweeted a sports stat that concerns how much pay had gone up for like stick and ball sports for the highest paid athletes over the last 15 years. So all your major league sports, they saw dramatic increases, and then asked if someone, namely you, could provide the same stat for MMA. So what you got for us?
Well, I should highlight the tweet he originally did concerned all the four stick and ball sports, and it's for the AAV, the annual average value of a contract, which is, we can't really do that in MMA. But just to complete it for on that tweet that he had, it was about how little it's gone up for the NHL from 10 million 15 years ago on the average annual value of the highest contract to 16.5 now, where the NBA has gone from 23 million to 63 million now, and the NFL from 15.3 to 55 million, and Major League Baseball from 33 million to 70 million. Just massive numbers.
Wow.
So we can't do that exact thing because there's not really contracts in prize fighting like there is in major league sports, right? You don't have a season with games. But we could do is we can compare it, I would say, either to the highest paid athlete, fighter, that in over a year, or the highest paid purse would be the comparison I would use. So if we go back in 2009, conveniently, we know what the highest paid fighter got in 2009, thanks to the antitrust lawsuit and to asking around and getting information, putting the two together. So in 2009, the highest paid fighter was George St. Pierre, who made $6.27 million for two fights that year. So he got $6.27 million for two fights. His highest purse for a single fight that year was a little over $3.9 million, my understanding is, for UFC 100. So he had also the highest purse and total amounts. That makes sense. In comparison, if we want to go to boxing, Floyd Mayweather supposedly earned around $30 million for his fight with Juan Manuel Marquez that year. So, a little bit higher in boxing.
Just
maybe he might have got
bit.
over 30 million. I can't think the estimates at the time are over 30 million. So
just 10 times higher.
Yeah.
Nothing
So
big.
it seems about right considering how big a fight that was. But so George St. Pierre was the highest fight. Now, this year, 2024 is not complete. Even if we go the last 12 months, we don't see, this is the thing, is you won't see that big of increase in fighter pay, I don't think, because you look who's been the highest paid fighters in the last 12 months. It's probably on an individual basis. I would think it's Alex Pereira for UFC 300. He probably got a little over 4 million for that. That's the estimate I've been told. So over 4 million. And so you put up, he had two fights this year, so that would give him 7 million so far. If you want to add the third fight coming up for the whole year, he'd probably end up with around 10 million for the year. So his average is basically the same as what GSP was making, right? In 2009. O'Malley might be in that ballpark too, probably in two fights, in the same ballpark per average. Maybe Dustin Poirier, but there's not many guys right now fighting that are making massive amounts. I guess the one odd would be Tapuria. I don't know I haven't heard much about what his contract potentially could be. So maybe he's getting a massive amount, but no one, Adesanya lost the belt. He's making several million per fight when he fought, but nothing, not enough to distort that. So that would be the comparison. Now, this would change though if McGregor or John Jones fought, right, before the end of the year. And so right now, the difference between what was paid in 2009 to now for the top fighter, for both the top purse, the highest paid purse, and the highest paid fighter is not much difference, a small change basically. But if Jones fights, I mean, last year against Cyril Gane, best sources, he made over, I guess, 8 million or slightly over 8 million. And if he fights, Stipe Miocic, how big the fight is supposed to be, I don't doubt he would make over 10 million, maybe up to 12, 13, 14. I think he even said he'd make 15 million. That might be a little optimistic, but let's say 13 million. So that would show a pretty big increase. And if McGregor fights, we know, in the past, I've talked about this in Luke Thomas and Daniel Cormier, the amounts I hear from multiple sources are very close. So I'm guessing it's pretty accurate that he would get probably close to 20 million in his next fight. So that would drastically change the difference in who's the highest paid fighter. But if McGregor and Jones don't fight this year, the difference between what GSP made in 2009 and the top guys today is not that big. It probably less than even the difference than what pro hockey saw.
Lay those numbers out for me one more time, especially like the NFL 15 years ago. I believe you said it was something like 15 million and it had jumped to 55. That was on the smaller end. All of the Major League Baseball and the NBA, those numbers seem to jump further. But the NFL one seems to be more in our range with MMA. Could you compare those two numbers one more time and do it by purse first, just single purse, so we can see how much of a jump we made?
Okay, fair enough. I should note I'm going to go through all the four sports really quick so people can compare to each of them. The hockey went from 10 million to 16.5, so that's a 65% increase, right? Okay. NBA went from 23 million to 63 million. So that is almost a 200% increase over what it was before, probably around 180%. NFL went from 15.3 to 55 million. So that's almost a 300% increase. And Major League Baseball went from 33 million to 70 million. So that again is almost a 200%, or I should say a little over 100% increase. So pretty big increases for them, but they're already starting with large amounts. Now, this is again, for people listening, this is the annual average value of the top contract. The thing to remember too is there's the top player. There's not as huge a gap between them and the next one as there usually is in combat sports. So we get to George St. Pierre as our comparison. For a single purse, he had the highest purse in 2009, a little under 4 million or a little over 3.9 million. I don't know the exact amount. But it was in that ballpark. So that was our highest purse. The highest purse so far this year, my understanding is about under between 4 and 5 million. So we are talking about a maximum of a 25% increase in the highest purse.
That's it? And
that's not much of a change. Now,
wow.
That could be, but it could massively change though, of course, if John Jones fights or if Conor McGregor.
Right.
If Jones fight, we estimate it'll do at least 10 million, probably more. So if it does 10 million, that's 150% more than what the GSP got. So 4 million, 150% more. That's 6 million put together, 10 million. So he'll make 150% more than what GSP. And if Conor McGregor fights, it could be up to 20 million. The estimates have always been between 16 and 20 million for his other fights, except for the Khabib, I think went over 20 million because it sold so many pay-per-views. I don't think this fight would do as much as Khabib, but still, let's say 20 million. So that would be that's 5x what GSP made. So that'd be a huge difference. But if those two don't fight, we are looking at the top purse only going up about 25% from where it was in 2009.
Good Lord. Wow. We also had some questions regarding what the current percentage of the revenue, how much of that goes to fighter pay. Do we have any idea on that currently?
Well, we did do an episode a couple months ago, I think, where we talked about the new estimate that I came up with because of the class action lawsuit. But I think it flew under the radar. So I'm going to bring it up. We'll go over it again really quick. In the Johnson settlement, they revealed when they proposed the settlement that the judge shot down, they revealed that the fighters were paid in the Johnson class between. Now, here we're going to have we're going to have two different numbers. In the filing, they say from July 1st, 2016 until April 13, 2023 is the time they're covering. The thing is, the Johnson class starts on July 1st, 2017. So either they started the wrong date or this is a misprint. I'm assuming it's a misprint because all the other numbers added up. But I'm going to go, it's also possible that this date they started earlier, which would change the percentage. But for right now, we're going to say it's a misprint. So from July 1st, 2017 until April 13, 2023, they paid out to fighters during that period. The UFC did $1,022,200,000. So that's the total amount they paid to fighters. Now, we can figure out the percentage paid to fighters because we know the revenue they made every year. And so the total revenue during that period from July 1st, 2017 until April, as I said, is about $5.4 billion. And so that means total fighter compensation is about 18.9% of that. So that is a higher percentage than what they had paid previously in fighter compensation for that period. It's also higher than what I estimated. Now, one of the reasons was we went back. Remember, they revealed how much in an earnings call, how much pay had gone up every year over a period. And it's just possible either the UFC was mistaken in the number they gave, or it's possible that was kind of an oddity year where there was a very low pay for fighters and that the other years around they're higher pay. And I think that might be possible because based on the amount of pay that we heard that Conor McGregor and Khabib made, which together should be about $100 million during the class period, those two alone. Well, right there, that lowers the pay, the percentage from 18.9 if you take them out to under 17%. So those two guys have a tremendous impact on the total percentage of pay. Now, if we use the July 1st, 2016 as the start day, then the total pay is not 18.9%, but 16.9%.
Oof.
So that's a couple things to keep in mind. We have an idea. I mean, I'm sure these numbers are correct. There's a misprint or we're starting with a different date than we assumed we would. But it does seem like fighter pay compensation is a little higher than what we previously estimated. But you got to remember, a big chunk of that is probably Conor McGregor's pay. And also you would say Khabib. Those are the two highest paid guys in UFC MMA history on a per fight basis.
Okay. Dana White estimated that the Sphere Gate is going to be around 21 million. But, just a couple of weeks ago, he estimated, because we had an episode on this as well, he estimated that the gate would be 27 million. So that's a $6 million drop from just 3 weeks ago. Now, he also said that he predicted the expenses were going to be over $20 million for this one show. Now, is he fluffing it up a little bit, or is there a chance that the UFC is going to lose money on this show? To access the bonus content of this episode, you must be a paid subscriber. To do that, go to heynottheface.substack.com and subscribe today.
Ow! Ow! Not the face! Ooh! Ooh! Okay, the face!